right, gentlemen. Well, thanks for joining me this morning. To my knowledge, this is the first time we've had all the Tiffin family leadership sit down for a recorded conversation. And I think there's a lot of great things to discuss, and I'm looking forward to talking about it with each of you this morning. Before we get started, I think it'd be helpful for our audience if we could all kind of introduce ourselves, talk about what we do day to day briefly, and then we'll jump into one of my favorite topics here, which is customer service and how it all began. So, starting to my left, Dad.
All right, I'm Van, and I work most of my day in manufacturing, working on problem solving and opportunities.
Very good. Trent?
My name's Trent Tiffin. I'm the National Sales Manager for Class C's and B's, and I lead the Class C product development.
And the man that needs no introduction.
I'm Bob Tiffin and the founder of Tiffin Motorhomes back in 1972, and my job is to help our customers.
Love it. Couldn't agree more. Speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about customer service and the philosophy of customer service at Tiffin Motorhomes. Maybe where that came from. I mean, you're 52 years into this thing at this point. Talk to me a little bit about customer service.
Well, my dad taught me customer service. His name was Tiffin, and he had a building supply business here in Red Bay, and he sold appliances. And back in the day when the appliances first started, it was a little challenging, to say the least, especially when the automatic washing machine started. And so he sold Maytag automatic washing machines, and he bought 5 of them. And what you see on television is not right. You see that Maytag repairman setting all the time. That's not true. The first 5 we bought, they were all junk, and we had to rebuild every one of them. And so in 1949, though, R.P. McDavid was a local state distributor for Whirlpool, and we sold, believe it or not, RCA Victor televisions. And so they were the distributor for Whirlpool, and so they brought one up for Daddy to look at, a Whirlpool washing machine. And so it just happened that our 2 technicians were there that day, Gertha Ledbetter and Junior Ledbetter, and they took that machine over to the shop right across the street, and they took part of it apart. They wanted to see how much trouble it was going to be to take the spin tube out of that. And so they did. They were gone about 30 or 45 minutes. They came back and they told my dad, this is what we need to sell, because you can work on this machine. And of course that holds true, because up in Benton Harbor, Michigan, where they built that the Whirlpool washing machine, it's been a success unheard of. They control most of the laundry equipment in the United States. So I learned the customer service from my dad, and how he took care of those customers that had those old Maytag washing machines that didn't work.
Yeah.
So he traded them out for Whirlpools.
So did you ever think when you started the company that Tiffin would someday have the reputation it has, or the tremendous brand loyalty that it has with that customer service? Or was it just, hey, this is how we do business and it's the right thing to do? I mean, was there a strategy, or was it really just, this is what I know?
Well, it wasn't a strategy, it's just what we did. When we started the motorhome business, it was natural for me, when people came through the door and they had a list of things that needed to be repaired, they'd get them repaired. And so we would take, in the old days, right over here in this building, we had Norris Lewis working and Jesse Reyes. They were 2 of our old-time employees. And Jesse is retired, but Norris Lewis is still with us down in service.
Yeah.
And so they would take it over there, and of course we didn't have enough motorhomes sold to keep a full-time crew, so they would just take them off the production line and they would fix it.
Yeah.
And so that learned me something. That taught us something back then, because you could see the problem at hand immediately.
Yeah.
And so you got it repaired on production. And so we still do basically the same thing. We have a real good contact with our service department. And when someone gets a new motorhome and they haven't had it long and they go down to service, it has some issues, we look at the list that they've got to see how it can, and I do that all the time. And of course, that's part of customer service too.
About when did you realize that, and I guess I'm asking about what year, or at what point in the business did you realize that you were really making a name with Tiffin Motorhomes and Tiffin's approach to customer service, customer care?
Well, it took 3 or 4 years, but after a while, that the word would come back.
Yeah.
Well, we bought this Tiffin because you take care of your customers, and so that's what we've always done. And of course, it's no different than my dad started at Tiffin Supply Company, taking care of those old Maytag washing machines.
Yeah, treat them like you want to be treated, right?
Absolutely, the golden rule.
Golden rule. Yeah, great words to live by. So, Dad, when did you get your first introduction at Tiffin Motorhome to customer service?
When my brother Tim and I started working here, and I started in 1987. I think he started in 85 or 86. So Dad said, hey, you boys are going to do customer service. You're going to talk on the phone, and you're going to take parts orders. And I thought that's all the motorhome business was for the first 10 years. That's all I did. So, we answered phone calls. They came in, came off the operator, whatever. Spent the day, dealing with customers that had problems, whether, broken down or, things break in motorhomes. And Monday's always the busiest day because everybody goes out over the weekend, finds the problems, and then they're looking to get them fixed on Monday. But it was a really good experience. I learned a lot about what the customer thinks, what their expectations are. And so we got a really good dose of that early on in the business, first 10 years. And we got real familiar with the parts too, because we'd actually take the parts orders, try to troubleshoot with the customers, go out in the plant, try to find out, how was this put together? What are you seeing the problems are? So we can communicate that to the dealer and to the customer. So great experience. And to this day, I use that information. I reflect on conversations I've had with customers when I'm in the manufacturing plant. What they didn't like about it, why they didn't like it. If we had something that was not accessible, why would you make something that's not accessible? That's got to be serviced.
Yeah.
And so that has really helped me a lot in the last few years since I spent so much time in the plant.
How long did it take you when you first started taking customer calls to realize there can be some emotion and passion behind the purchase of a new motorhome?
Oh yeah, I've had customers crying on the phone. I've had customers yelling on the phone. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. We try our very best, and but yeah, it's a lot of emotion. A lot of them, are concerned about what they pay for it. And for what they pay, they want high expectations and want good outcomes. And, and I tell people that work in the plant, I said, look, these people, you don't realize this, but when someone purchases a motorhome, it's a huge purchase, probably the biggest purchase they're ever going to make. And they're going to sit down once a month if they borrow the money, and they're going to look at that coupon book, and they're going to be reminded if it's a good purchase or a bad purchase. And it's our job to make sure it turns out to be a good purchase.
Trent, I know you and I still talk to customers. I guess we all do, but especially you and I talk to customers every day. Papa Bob talks to customers every day. What are some of your earliest memories of customer service in your career at Tiffin Motorhome?
Well, I started in January of 2016 and started out in purchasing, and then Dad wanted to get me into sales roles, inside sales. And when Danny Inman was still here, he did all the tech tips, but he was the rep for Florida Lazy Days, and he would go travel, so Dad would make me sit in the sales office at his chair and answer his phone. And so Papa Bob was always getting all the phone calls too, but Danny Inman got just as many, and I had to start answering them. I didn't know anything, so I got introduced to sales and service quickly. And the best part about it, for my role being in product development and sales, is I hear all the issues that a customer's having. So I'm like, okay, well, this is wrong. We got to stop this. Or like, hey, I got a great idea because you have the issue here, but if you did this, it would work out. And that's how you can be innovative and make the quick changes and try to always evolve the motorhome. But customers, you've got to take care of. It's natural for us because we watched Papa Bob do it all these years, and just take care of the customer.
Yeah.
It's always funny, Dad or Papa Bob or service centers, like we have our rules, but then you get a hold of a Tiffin, they're all out the window. Like, we're just going to get it fixed.
Yeah.
And a lot of other manufacturers don't want to make that commitment. And we're not perfect, but again, if a person has a unit that's not right, just call us. We'll get it fixed. And
how much of that commitment and that attitude toward customer service and making things right do you think comes from the fact that we spend one-on-one time with customers?
I think it's everything, at the end of the day, for us four here and others, our name's on the unit. Like, that's a pride you have to carry. You're driving down the road and people always text you pictures of, here you are again, and they're out in Louisiana on the road. It's like, can't get away from. Our units are out there and your name is out there. And if your name is bad, nobody wants to deal with you.
I think the access and the customer relationships we've fostered over 52 years has a lot to do with that culture.
And I think social media, you're able to reach people faster. We see everything quicker. It's not just a phone call or an email anymore. But yeah, you have to be there for them. Yeah. I don't care what they say, they do. Just fix the unit, have a smile on your face. Yeah. Because there's things at times, they tell you how bad it was. Was it really that bad? Maybe not, but to them it is that bad. And it hurts you inside a little bit, like we dropped the ball here, but give me the chance to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to your earlier point, product development and continuous improvement efforts, so much of that is propelled by that first-hand customer feedback.
Yeah, because if something's not working, you've got to change it and you got to fix it.